Hello, good morning. Good morning. Hello, can you hear me? Okay, that's good. Okay, let's start. How we need to start here. Let's begin. We have aggregate functions. Okay, today we are going to talk about functions. We are going to talk about aggregate functions and SQL string functions. What functions? Tell me that. Anyone who knows what is aggregate function? Okay. Mm-hmm. Aggregate functions, these are count, sum, average, max, and mean. So we use them to calculate and count, sum, average, and max, and lastly mean. Right? We talked about it yesterday. So um, what do we use for count? Okay, count when we are counting the number of employees we have in a company, then we are going to use count. Okay, sum, we are going to use sum if we are calculating total amounts, so that is where now sum comes in. Average, if you have maybe performance of if you want to check the average performance of an employee, then you use average. Max, so maybe you want to check the oldest person or the oldest employee, so you just press max. And min, so the youngest employee in a certain company, so you use min. Min stands for minimum, not the average one. So min means minimum, max means maximum. So in aggregate functions we have 5 functions. So these 5 functions are called aggregate functions. Make sure you note down that. Okay, so optional addition if teaching advanced. So count distance. Alright, so if you want to calculate distinct, which means what this distinct means? Distinct means a unique identifiers. Let's say we have employees and the country they come from. Okay, so and you want to calculate the number of countries that that seeked for jobs. So some of the countries will repeat themselves. For you to calculate the distinct countries, so the unique countries, you use the distinct function there. So you just say count distinct countries. Okay, then it will calculate uh, the unique countries. So let's say 5 employees, for example, 5 employees came from Afghanistan, maybe 2 employees came from Japan, 1 employee came from China. How many countries do you have there? So if you just do the normal count, as 5 plus 2 plus 1, which is 8, right? So but for you to calculate the distinct country, so that for 5 Afghanistan countries it counts as 1. Okay, you use the distinct function. So you say count distinct countries. I hope you get that. So group concat, that is another one, and string aggregate. So combines values. So concat functions we'll talk about it is in the string function, so it is not here right now. Now we just talked about the aggregate functions, and the aggregate functions are this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. SQL operators. So we have operators. Who can tell me what operators are? Okay, who can tell me what operators are before we begin? In just a simple English word, what is an operator? What is an operator? Who can tell me that? Mm-hmm. You guys don't know? What is an operator? Mm. Okay, guys, answer that. Who knows that? What is an operator? Just in a simple English word. Okay, use an English simple word. What does operator mean? Okay, in Google, operators, the word operator means the word operator means in English simple context means that when you want to add something, maybe that's what we call operator. It means function. Okay, that is an operator. So that is what we mean operator. So in SQL, what do we mean it? I hope you understood that. Okay. Okay. Operator, from the word operates, it comes from the word operate. Okay, so let's say it means that things that operate. I hope you understand what I mean. Operate. Example, um, the telephone operator connected my call. So what does here the word operator means? So operator is someone who helps manage phone calls. Okay, manage, that is the word. Okay, manage. I hope you understand that. Okay, now let's continue. We have arithmetic operators. Now we have arithmetic operators. So arithmetic, this is like addition, subtraction, multiplication, is what we call arithmetic operators. The second one is comparison operators. These are these things: equals, not equals to, greater than. The third one, we have logical operators. Okay, used to combine conditions and or not. We'll talk about that. The fourth one is bitwise operators. So this one is an advanced SQL, so we'll talk about that also. Used for bit level operators. Okay, what it does, then we'll talk about. Then we have set operators, used to combine, select, right? Then we also talk about that. Other useful operators. Then here we go. Now let's start now. Arithmetic operators, it is used for mathematical calculation. What it does, addition, it adds, and also it does subtraction, right? Multiplication is this star shape stands for multiplication, by the way, make sure you remember that. And division, the slice the slash backwards stands for division. Okay, let's do practical of these aggregate functions and arithmetic operators. Okay, now open your beaver. If you have the beaver, make sure you open it and we begin this. All right, once you open your beaver, there we go. Right, and once you open your beaver, and so we want to use these aggregate functions. And how are we going to use aggregate functions? Let's start with select all from employees, control enter. Sorry for that. Stands for enter, right? So control enter, then let's open. Have you guys opened your dbeaver? Okay, now so we have how many employees here? We have 2 employees. All right, I want us to use the I want us to use these what do we call the aggregate functions. So the first one we have is count. We want to check how many employees we have. Okay, count, we do that, then open bracket, then write count and employee ID, right? Employee first, you have to start with select statement, that is must, then you write count, select count employee ID, employee underscore ID, then close your bracket, then let's check out if this works. Control enter. This one doesn't have that. Okay, sorry for that. From, you have to specify which table. From employee table. Okay, then semicolon at the end to show that that is the end of the query. All right, once you do that, it will display the 2. As you can see that we have 2 employees there. All right, so that is how you do it. When you want to calculate the number of employees we have, you can use you have to use a unique identifier such as employee ID, then you calculate the number of employees. Okay, nice. Now we can go to okay, what if you put here, this is a alias, so that instead of showing count, just to show number of employees. So in that better, that is better. Number of employees, all right, employees, and then control enter. As you can see here, this one you understand it much better. Instead of just seeing count, now you can see number of employees. So you will understand that this 2 stands for the number of employees. Instead of showing count, you have to use alias. This as stands for alias, meaning that the nickname that given to that thing. So we say that the count employee ID, give it a name known as name of employee. Okay, that is the first one. This the aggregate function, that is the first one. Now the second one, let's go to, we have the second one. Okay, just wrap this. The second one is a maximum. Let's just check maximum we have. Okay, equals to max. Let's check max and minimum, then we can talk about this. max, then open bracket, and the column you are, no wait, sorry for that, I keep forgetting. We must start with select statement, then max. Now before I run this, let's go back and run our query, our table, and to see merge, so that you guys visualize properly, and that you'll be able to see. So when I say max, and I want to check, let's, for example, instead of employee ID, let's say this is age, right? Which one is the max? Yeah, the max, obvious, the larger one is 2, right? Because 2 is greater than 1. So once I use the max function and I put here employee ID, it will definitely return 2, right? Am I correct? Correct, 100% correct. Okay, now let's try that. From, we have from the table name, so the table name is called employee. Okay, let's see what it returns. That is, enter now 2. As you can see that when you use the max function, it returns the largest value. Okay, so now let's check the minimum. Okay, minimum, you just write min, right? This stands for minimum. Okay, once you do that, control enter, boom, here we go, 1, because 1 is the smallest number, smallest value. Okay, that is what minimum function does. Okay, now let's go to the other one. We have a what do you call, what's the other one we have? Average, right? Let's say I want to check the average of the employee ID. Let's say 2, it will say 2 plus 1 divided by 2, right? 3 divided by 2, around 1.5, right? It will show that. Okay, select, let's start with select statement. I know it doesn't make sense, but I want to show you what the average function does, as in because we have a small data set, and for you to understand it. So in real world it will be different. We'll be talking about we'll be using a large data set. We'll be working with a large data set and calculating something that makes sense. You cannot look for average of employee ID. That doesn't make sense. So what makes sense is that if you are calculating the average salary, that will make sense. Okay, so now I hope I'm audible. Okay, so now let's talk about the average now. Select average, then the average. Now you have to select your the column. What is your column? Our column name is employee ID underscore ID, then close your bracket, select average employee ID from where? From employee. Now let's see if it returns 1.5, as in, because the average of the employee ID has to show 1.5, because we have 2 plus 1, which we can divide by 2. So isn't that how we work average, or is there another way of working that? Boom, it refused. Okay, let's check. Oh, okay, so if you see that, do not panic. Make sure you look at your sentence 2 times. What is wrong? So the wrong thing is we are not supposed to write the full average. So average, you have to put there avg. Okay, make sure you use avg, not the full average. So that one I was doing it in a hurry. So I was in a hurry, then I forgot about that. Make sure you do that. So now once you return that, you see there you are 1.5. So I think that is okay. Here you have your 1.5. Okay. Okay, now that we have done a lot of stuff, let's go back to our notes. Thank you so much. You subscribed 376. Oh, may God bless you. Okay, let's go back. We are on 376. That is good. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go back to our notes. Our notes. So when you go back to our notes, let's see what we're supposed to do. I hope you can see that. Okay. SQL operators. So we have done the operators. No, we haven't done operators. Sorry for that. We just did aggregate functions. We talked about count, average, max, minimum. So sum is also the same. Okay, just do the sum of the employee ID. You will got 3. Right, that will be the answer. Okay, sum we use it to calculate maybe the total salary. So we use the sum function. These are the aggregate functions. We have 5 aggregate functions: count, sum, max, and min. Right, SQL operators. Operators, we say this is managers. That is what we call operators. The first one, we have arithmetic operators. This is talks about it has to do with mathematical calculation. Okay, we have addition, subtraction, and multiplication. So this star shape stands for multiplication, right? And division we use backward slash. Let's go and do these steps and to see practically. Okay. Okay, let's do it. Let's go back to our dbeaver and do that. Okay, let's talk about now leave some space and let's start. We're talking about the uh, arithmetic operators. Okay, skip then let's start. So when you are writing command, so this is used for command. Okay, whenever you are trying to explain what you're working on, make sure you put some dashes before that. So in SQL you cannot run this. So once you try to run this, let's try that. You'll see that. Okay, it cannot run. Okay, arithmetic operators. So this is used for commands. Okay, make sure you use this for commands and the grade. So whenever you are trying to explain to your employer that what I'm going to work out after this is this arithmetic function operators, so that your work is neat. Okay, it's not must, but your mark should be neat. Now let's start with arithmetic operation. The first one is addition. So you do select. Oh, you're not supposed to use select, right? Nope, yeah, it is must that we use select. Sorry for that, I was confused with Excel. Select, then plus, let's say 5, and 5 plus 5. What are we going to get? Okay, are we going to get 10? Let's see that. So let's end with semicolon. There we go, we have 10 there. So it returns 10. So 5 plus 5 is 10. That is the first arithmetic operator, addition. Now let's see subtraction. Instead of plus 5, let's do minus. The hyphen stands for minus. Okay, minus 2. Okay, select 5 minus 2, control enter. There we go, we have 3 there. Thank you so much for subscribing. We are on 377. May God bless you. Have a nice day. Thank you so much. 3 we have 3 there. Okay, let's go back then. 5 minus 2, 3. Okay, now let's do multiplications. We said that the star shape stands for multiplication. Instead of minus, let's do multiplication. There we go. This is 5 times 2, so it will give us 10, right? Control enter. Let's see, control enter. 5 times 2, 10. There we go. 5 times 2, 10. Alright. Now the last one is the division. Let's say 10 divided by 2. 10. So this backward slash stands for division, right? So 10 divided by 2 should give us 5. Should give us 5. So control enter. There we go, 5. I hope we have understood the arithmetic operators. We have 5 of them: the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, or it is just 4, I think. Sorry for that. Okay, we did the arithmetic operators. Let's go and do the next operators. Okay. So the next operator is the next operators, arithmetic operators we have here. So the next operators is comparison operators. This one we use to compare values often in where. Alright, so we have comparison operators. It is used to compare values. So comparison from the word comparison, compare. Okay, it comes from the word compare. Now we have this, we have equals to, right? We have not equals to, we have greater than, we have less than, we have greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, between, like, pattern matching, matches value in a list in. Right, let's go ahead and do so. I'm ready to begin. So this thing, the comparison operators usually return the Boolean value. So we say that Boolean value is yes or true or false, right? So comparison operators usually return Boolean value. This is what I mean by Boolean value. Let's go and do this practically and you will understand. Okay. Okay. Once you go back to your Beaver, go back to the Beaver. Now let's see what a Boolean value is. Okay. Operators equals 5 equals to 2. So this value, this statement is wrong. Alright, 5 equals to 2. This statement is wrong. So once I run this value, it should return false value. Okay, it should say false. Okay, now, and how do you know that what SQL writes for you to understand that that statement means false? Okay, so it returns two columns, the full bracket columns. Okay, this means that it is a false value. But if there's a v inside this column, these two columns, so you can see that, I hope you can see, if there is v, it means true value. But if you are using MySQL, I repeat again, if you're using MySQL and not Postgres, then it will return 0 or 1. 1 means true value, 0 means false value. But if you are using Postgres SQL, then the brackets there in the Beaver, so the brackets there, when it is empty, it means a false value. And we just did 5 equals to 2, which is a false value. 5 is not equals to 2. That is completely wrong. So there, you once you run that query, you will see two columns with an empty space between. all right. So and if it let's do the true value. This what means by this means a false value. Okay, if we do 5 equals to 5, this one is a true value, right? 5 equals to 5, we can agree that. Let's run this query. There we go, we have v inside here, we have v inside the two brackets, so that means it's a true value. If we have a v inside that column, then it means a true value. This is what we mean by boolean data type. It returns false or true. So one of the characteristics of comparison operators that they contain boolean data type. Make sure you remember that. Okay, now let's go back to our where we left. So that is the first one, equals. So now let's go ahead and do not equals to. Not equals to, there's two ways of writing not equals to. All right, so the first one of doing it is this way, by writing two arguments, greater and equals greater and less than. When you combine these two, it means not equals to. This is true, right? 5 is not equals to 2, so it should return a column with v, right? A bracket that contains a v, square bracket that contains v. All right, let's run the query. See, there we go. This correct state, it is a true value. It returns a true value. It means that our statement is true. There's another way of writing not equals to. If you don't want to use this argument, there's another way of doing it. The other way is you use this exclamation mark and greater. So this means not equals to. You can use any of the two. The one that's easier for you, make sure you use that one. Stick to that one, the easier one. All right, let's run the query and see. Oh, sorry for that. The teacher has gone wrong. Sorry for that. Please make sure you delete that from your memory. Okay, instead of using those two, greater than or less than, then you should use this one. Okay, I usually use that the greater than and smaller than. Okay, you can use this way. There's another way of writing not equals to. This is the exclamation mark and equals to. So this means not equals to. So once you run this, you will get a true value. All right, I hope we are together there. So you can use any of the two. Let's go back to where we were. So the other one, the other comparison operators we have is which one? Greater than. Okay, greater than. Let's say if I select 5 is greater than 2. So this is a true value, right? Once you run this value, let's run this, control enter. Yes, we have a v inside that the square bracket there. That means it is a true value. And what if we had something like 6 instead of 2? Then it will bring a square bracket that is empty inside. All right, that is the greater one. That is the greater operator. Now we also have the less than operator. So this is a less than operator. Let's say 5 is less than 2. This is a false statement. Once you run this statement, you get what? You get a square bracket that is empty inside, right? So let's run this. There we go, because it is a false value. 5 cannot be less than 2. So let's go ahead and do the other one. So 5 is less than 6. If you do so, that you get a square bracket that has v inside, meaning that it is a true value. Okay, there we go. As you can see, we have a square bracket that contains v. Yeah, that's good. The other operator we have is greater than or equals to. So these are two things that is combined. So I want you guys to make sure this one we are together, right? Greater than or equals to is a different one now. So let's say 5 is greater than or equals to 3. So now this one will return a true value, because we have two statements here. Remember that we have greater than and equals to. If either of the two, one is correct, then the answer is returned a true value. We have two statements. They are greater than, 5 is greater than 3, and 5 equals to 3. So if one is true, then it returns a true value. I hope we are together there. Okay, let's run this query and you will see that this one will return a true value, because the first one, it will check 5 is greater than 3. Yes, that is correct. So the second statement says that 5 is equals to 3. That is false. But there's one that is correct. It means that now if one is correct, it means it returns a true value. That is it. That's how it works. Okay, control enter. Wow, what happened? Sorry for that. That there is a select statement. I keep forgetting that. Okay, there we go. We have a true value. We have a true value here, as you can see. So when you are using the greater than or equals to, there is two statements. If one of the two is correct, then a true value is returned as a boolean data type. Okay. So we also have less than or equals to. So it works same as this one, but let's just do it for the sake of doing it. 5. Okay, let's do now 5 is less than 3. Okay, nope. 5 is less than or equals to 3. This is a false value, right? So it checks the first value. 5 is less than 3. That is false. And 5 cannot be equals to 3. So this one, it should return a false value. Okay? This one should return a false value. Control enter. There we go. It should return a false value. But if we had something like maybe 5, let's say 5 is less than 5. That is false. The second statement is 5 equals to 5. That is correct, right? Let's run this and see that. So there's a true value there. I hope you understand that. Now that we have done now we have this. Now we have between. We are going to do between. We have between, like, and in. The next, these are the last three we have. So we have between, and we have between okay, between, and let me just use slash here, hyphen. We have between, and we also have in and like button. These are in comparison operators too, right? But between, we cannot work with a small data set like this one, right? We have a small data set. Between stands for the range, okay? If we can do with this, the data set we have, it will be better. But let's check out if we can do with this data set. So select all from employee, go there, then select all from employee. Okay, let's try to reduce this so that we can see what we want to do. Okay, now we have the between. Let's start with between, in, and like. So that is how we go. Between, is used for, it is an inclusive, okay, between two values. So we use it between two values. We have value 1 and value 2, okay. All right, so now let's try that. Select, okay, this one will return all. Select employee ID. Let's just do, for the sake of saving time, all from employee. So, but you're not supposed to use this all button, okay, because it's not allowed. You are supposed to choose the columns you want. So select all from employees, where employee ID. I hope you understand what I'm doing. So employee ID between, because we have a small data set and this one might not make sense, okay. Between, let's do 0 and 1, okay. Maybe we can do that. It should return only the first one, where the employee ID is between 0 and 1. So put your semicolon there, try to run this. Let's check if it runs. There we go. As you can see, it is crystal clear. So we have between 0 and 1, we only have this employee ID, okay, because 2 is not in 0, is not in between 0 and 1, right? We can agree that. So it will return only values between 0 and 1. So for employee ID, and this is the one. All right, now let's do the other one. We have in is almost same as equals. All right, when you are mentioning lists, all right, when you are mentioning lists, then you should use in. Select employee ID, or from employee so select all from employee, where first name, in, right, in. So wait, let's run the table, so the query, the original query, so that to see properly what we are doing, okay. right? That is better. Okay, in. So now an open bracket. So this one, when you're using in, make sure you open your brackets. Okay. So when you're using in, you have to open your bracket, so that because what you are going to mention inside that bracket is a list. Okay. Alright, so let's do that. Where in first name is Ali. This one is sensitive, alright? Then there should be comma, right? The other one, let's say John, maybe John. Let's try and run this. So it should return all the values. Make sure you end with semicolon at the end to show that that's the end of your query. Okay, once you run this, control enter. There we go. We have the two values. So if you want to remove one so that it makes sense, guys, we have a small data set, to be honest. So but you can understand what I'm doing, right? There we go. If you're using in, it's about the list. Thank you so much for subscribing. We're on 378. May God bless you and have a nice day, man. Thank you so much for that. 378. Wow, that's good. So we have done that. Okay. Now let's do like. We did between, we did in. Now it's time for like. Let's do like. Like is used in another way. I'll show you what I mean. How we use like. Right. Let's first select all from employee so that you understand properly what I'm doing. Control enter. So let's start doing this. Select all from employee where so like is used to look for pattern, all right? Where first name underscore name like. So let's do that. Like let's try to run something. So where first name like, so there should be a percentage. So this percentage means that there are some characters before what we are going to write, right? Let me show you what I mean, right? Okay, here it means pattern like. So this percentage stands for, let's say we have some names here, it can be different, but the last two letters should end with li. For example, Ali, right? It ends with li, right? Now if there is a, let's say, glee, it doesn't care about that. It should just end with li. All right, that is what this percentage means. All right, and that is how like is used for. It's used to look for patterns. Let's try to close this query. I don't know if it would run this. There we go. As you can see, it returns Ali because that is the only one that ends with li. So if you are working with a large data set, you will be able to see a lot of li's being returned, right? Some of them might start with another thing, right? So as long as it ends with li, then it returns the value. And this percentage, as said, means that there are some values before li. Okay, so it doesn't care how many are those. There are some characters, I mean not values, characters. Whether there is a 5 characters, different 5 characters, whether it starts with B or D, L, it doesn't care. but as long as it ends with li and I run the query, it returns. So it is used for patterns. That is how like is used for. Okay, now that we have done the comparison operators, we are going to do logical operators. Nope, I think we have done the logical operators. Or sorry for that, I'm not sure. No, we haven't done logical operators, right? Operators, how do you write this? Operators. Now let's go back to our notes. Let's go back to our notes. Yep, there we go. This is the logical operators used to combine multiple conditions, right? So let's check what it does. An example. And all conditions must be true. Do you remember us doing in Excel? I hope you can remember that the in and or. Yep, we did it. It is I think it was last week, right? So but not is not there, right? Okay, and all conditions must be true. So it returns it has to return the two values. If the two values are correct, we have Kisumu and quantity being greater than 2. If the quantity is not greater than 2 and it is Kisumu, the city is Kisumu, it will not return. Okay, it will only return if all the conditions are true and has two conditions, right? We have here city Kisumu, and the second condition is here quantity being greater than 2. That is the second condition. These two conditions must be true, right? These two conditions must be true. That is what and or is different. At least one condition is true. For example, city equals to Nairobi, or city equals to Kisumu. Or let's just use the first one. Let's say city equals to Kisumu or quantity is greater than 2. If the quantity is not greater than 2, but the city is Kisumu, then it returns the value because it is correct. It only cares only one, at least one condition. City equals to Nairobi or city equals to Kisumu. So either of the two, if one is correct, then it returns the value. Not reverses the result of a condition, right? Not city equals to Nairobi. So from the word not, right, it means that if there's other countries, other cities, it returns other cities except the Nairobi one. Okay, I hope we have understood that. Let's go and check if we can do that practically. But our data set, unfortunately our data set is small. I'm not able to do that. We have a small data set that we don't even have cities, and but if you're using a large data set, the conditions remain the same, right? It remains the same. And we also did this in Excel. It was last week, I think. Make sure you check out that video if you haven't seen. All right. Now the fourth one is bitwise operators advanced. This one is advanced SQL. So for data analyst, this one is not even it's not must. Okay, if you are a data analyst. So but if you are going for data science and you want to become a data scientist, you have to do this. Let's check out what it does. Used for bit level operators. What it does, example. We have this function here, bitwise and customer in order. Alright, so this is how they write and. As you can see there, in your keyboards we have this, and so this one is same as and, okay, or they write this what do we call this, apostrophe. Yep, it's same as or. Okay, we have greater than. This one is an argument. Okay, it means power. That's what we call here power. Maybe 5 power 2. So that's how they run it. So, but if you see in your data set being used these stuffs and this apostrophe, it means that it means or and. Okay, nothing has changed, but it is very rare for data analysts to use those tabs. If you can use this simpler one and or, why go and use these complex tabs and or, okay, doesn't make sense. So no one cares about complex stuff. People just want you to do their job, and they want to see if anyone can understand. So you're going to present these stuff to someone who is not in tech. So if you go and do complex stuff, it will be harder for them to understand those stuff. That's why I said after taking this course, make sure you go ahead and do communication course so that you're able to explain people stuff, make it simpler for them, right? So make sure you do that so that because you will be working with someone who don't know tech, so you are going to present these stuff to someone who has never seen SQL, right? And you have to explain to them to understand what is going on, right? So I repeat again, this is not good to use. We have the set operators, the fifth one. It is used to combine the results of two select queries. Alright, this one also a complex one for data scientists. They use union, intersect, except, right? And the union all is not in Postgres. If you're using PostgreSQL, it is not there. Alright, but if you're using MySQL, it is there. 379 subscribers. Thank you so much. May God bless you, man. God bless you. Whoever it's not supposed to. Whoever it is, thank you so much, man. I'm not sure if it's a man or a woman, but thank you so much, man. Not an insult. Okay, it's only that I didn't know. Union or union combines results, removes duplicates. Okay, if you are using this union, it will remove duplicates. There's a professor that will come and teach you all these steps. He will teach you this union, will teach you union all. But for you guys, let me tell you something. This one is not must because right now we are using Postgres, okay, and we only have these two, intersect and except. So this one returns common record. It's same as a distinct. Why go and use this intersect? Doesn't make sense again. Returns records in the first query, not in the second. It doesn't make sense. Why do you use except? You can just wrap there and just run the query you want. Okay, so these are just complex stuffs. If you want to decorate or you want to show people that you know too much, that is how you use. But for Postgres, if you're using Postgres, and right now I'm using Postgres, you don't have these two. I repeat, you don't have these two. You have these two, yeah. But it doesn't make sense for you to use these two because what I'm going to teach you guys is what you're going to do in your daily work. Okay, I work as a junior data analyst, and I never came across someone using these terms. Okay, other useful operators. This one is most used frequently. This one is used frequently. We also talked about in constraints. You remember that the null primary key, right? So this one is used often. It's null checks for the missing values. Okay, we say city equals to null. So when you are cleaning the data set, you are trying to look an empty cell so that you correct it. You just write where, let's say you have a color city. alright. And you want to check if there's a null, or a null means empty cell. If there's an empty cell in that city column, then if you see that, you go and tell your employer about that, right? Or the seniors about. So you inform them that, hey, we have an issue here in our city. There's a null there, there's an empty cell. So what are we going to do with this? And should I just delete it, or we are going to insert a certain city here? That is how you are going to ask your seniors, all right? You'll be working with a senior data analyst who will guide you. If you're a junior data analyst, you will have a senior data analyst. They will guide you. They will show you what you. If you don't know something, just go ahead and talk to them. They are very polite, and they are very, very welcoming, and they are very ready to help you. Okay, it's not null. It checks for non-missing values, right? So this one checks for non-missing values. It's also used during cleaning your dataset. So if you are using SQL to clean your dataset, use these values. It's not null, then you do so. So distinct, to remove duplicates, we say that it only returns the unique values. We talked about that. So that is the end of the aggregate functions and operators. We can we still have time, so we can do this, right? Or are you guys tired? We can do this concat, substring, length, upper lower, but no, I don't want to confuse you guys, so that I want you guys to adapt these stuff. So I think it will be quite unfair to push you very fast. And thank you so much for attending today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed that. And today we gained a lot of subscribers. Wow, we gained almost 6 7, I don't know. Thank you so much for those who subscribed to the channel, and for those who did it but came to watch also, thank you so much for that. Next week, I don't know, once we finish this sequel, so I'm going to give the lesson to a professor. So that course is free for you. By the way, that guy charges, I don't know, $100, but I talked to him and he gave me the course, and I'm going to give you for free. Alright, just all I'm asking for you is just subscribe to the channel, make sure you attend my lessons. That is it. And make sure you tell your friends, your families about this channel, so that we grow together and we go somewhere. There's no going backwards, guys. We are on week 2, I don't know, week 3. This is a very long course. We are going, it's almost like 5 to 4 months. Imagine that I'm going to stream every single day for you guys. Yesterday I was not feeling well, and I just came to the class to teach you guys. So I'm well motivated, trying to push you guys and push myself also. Alright, thank you so much once again. If you have something to ask, you can ask me, but I appreciate you guys. This thing means a lot to me. You attending class motivates me a lot, and as I said, after we finish this course, I'll be teaching you. After we finish this course, the whole course, I'll be teaching you how to tailor your CV, then how to build a portfolio. So we are going to do a lot of projects, then build portfolios together, then put your somewhere in your CV, right? After that, I'll teach you how to apply jobs. That is it. Or sometimes even we can come together and try to host recruiters, so that they explain to us what they want, what they are looking for, right? So today, that is the end. Thank you so much. We'll get there, right? Thank you. That's the end of the lesson. Thank you so much for attending my